What do you think would make that kind of mark? Hey, you know I'm kind of #1 when it comes to laundry in this fort, right?
Where are you going with this, Neeson?
You learn certain truths when you launder, and I've discovered something I feel needs to be shared.
Don't tell me something I don't want to hear.
Commander Vool has the nicest underwear in Fort Tarsus.
Why, Neeson? Why would you tell me that?
Think about it. Commander Vool is an important military leader. What if our enemies find out he enjoys fancy monogram boxer shorts?
I'm going to pretend we never had this conversation.
Good thinking. Yeah, keep it on the down low. I get it.
I don't doubt it.
Maybe if I see you first, we'll talk again.
Only if you see me first.
Copy that. I'm going to take that as a possible yes.
So, now that you've walked in her footsteps, let me tell you the final tale of Magna Stra. When General Tarsus fell, those closest to her went into mourning. Each carried grief in their own way. For Magna, the loss of her friend and leader turned to rage. She couldn't rest while a single Urgoth lived. They were already broken by the sword of Fulminus, terrified, fleeing to the dark corners of the world. But hard on their heels, Strahl came, hunting them one by one.
This sounds like the other story you told me.
Listen to enough tales of Magna Strahl and a pattern emerges. When at last her scouts found no more enemies, she returned to the Fortress of Dawn. There she found the doors sealed. The Legionnaires were preparing to leave it forever.
Even after I went inside, I've never heard why the fortress was sealed up.
I'm getting to that part. While Strahl eased her grief with battle, Arden Vasa fixated on his duty. With her final breath, Tarsus had made him swear Antium would not fall, no matter the cost. At her command, Vasa prepared to take the entire Legion of Dawn to safeguard Antium for all time. Outraged at what she saw as desertion, Strahl ordered the Lancers to halt, and they obeyed. Her general secured a future for all people, not just Antium. She called for the Legion to follow her, to battle the enemy in the darkness where they'd fled.
So which one had the right idea?
Well, if you ask a Sentinel, Arden Vasa. Ask a Paladin, it's Strahl. A freelancer usually says neither. Strahl was admired, some might say revered, by many, and they gladly joined her cause. Vasa called them traitors. Strahl declared those who stayed behind were cowards, and the Legion broke. Those who followed Magna Strahl called themselves Paladins, and went north to pursue the enemies of man. They vanished into the darkness, and were never heard from again.
How did the Paladins become the Dominion?
I wish I knew that story. I doubt even the Dominion knows it, really. They lost the path. They no longer use their strength to protect anyone, let alone everyone. I doubt anyone in the Dominion even remembers that was their purpose. That's why it's vital that we remember. Strahl's story and the Path of Might cannot be allowed to die.
I'll remember.
Good. Before the Battle of Antium Pass, the Legion's test of resolve had a different basis. It began with Leotrel, the General's oldest friend. When Tarsus first raised an army against the Urgoth, Leotrel was with her. The Arcanists were hidden from them. They hadn't yet found Arden Vasa. No lancers, no javelins, no weapons, no fortress. Not even a good hiding place. Nothing but the vision of Helena Tarsus and Leotrel's unbreakable will.
I've never heard about the beginning of the Legion before.
In a way, it has no beginning. Where and when did Tarsus and Leotrel meet? No one remembers. Maybe it was once such common knowledge that no one thought to pass it on. There are countless towns that now claim to be the birthplace of General Tarsus. The truth is lost. A legion needs soldiers, and it began with just one. The two set out to find the Urgoth. The plan was simple. Follow the raiders and warn villages in their path. At first, they succeeded in getting word of the coming Urgoth to people in time. Villagers fled, but the longer the Urgoth went without a catch, the faster it spurred their hunt. Finally, Tarsis and Leotrel arrived at a town with the Urgoth on their heels. Flight was impossible, so they stood and fought.
Fighting Urgoth without a javelin? By themselves? That took guts.
Tarsis hoped to slow the Urgoth enough that some villagers could escape. The two of them, alone, armed with simple weapons, were little more than an annoyance to the enemy. But they fought. Despite greater numbers, strength, and weapons, the Urgoth could not subdue them. Finally, with Tarsis wounded and Leotrel at the point of exhaustion, the two prepared for the end. But the villagers rallied. With tools and improvised weapons, they joined the battle and routed the enemy. Many innocents were taken that night, but not all of them. Because people fought the inevitable. And the rest is a tale for another time. Did you take my notebook?
The one you spilled an entire bowl of soup on? That notebook?
That's the one, yes. Where is it?
I hung it outside to dry.
I was still using that.
As a napkin? Yes, I know.
I am confirming several Dominion signals coming from nearby. We can't be sure what to expect. Proceed with caution. Dominion, stay alert. Dominion reinforcements appear to be farther in. It appears the Dominion are moving supplies. Destroy them and they won't be put to use. That's one. Keep going.
What? Lost flight.
Shut down their grounders and you're airborne. Nicely done. But you're not done yet. There's another one. Watch yourself. Let's see. One left. That's all of them. Well done. We need to deal with the remaining threat. There we go. You did it. They're in full retreat. I'll send word of our success. in causing trouble. You could settle that, I'm sure. Gate, be ready for anything. There's another one. Watch yourself. You took down the outlaw boss. The Sentinels will be pleased to hear it. We'll have more trouble if we don't do something about this threat. We need to clear the area. One less outlaw gang. I'll send word of our success.
You've walked the path of resolve. It's a hard one to travel.
You're not gonna tell me about the last stand of General Tarsus now, are you? Because I've heard that story many times before.
No. This is the story of how the Legion endured its own destruction. While Vasa and Strahl fought about which way to take their lancers, Leotrel prepared. She prepared her oldest friend for burial. She prepared places for all the fallen, and she prepared the way for those still to come. She took Garrett's volumes of the Legion from the Fortress of Dawn before it was sealed. She left Helena's signet in the General's tomb, waiting for the right hand to reclaim it.
Were you saying she knew I would need to look for the Javelin of Dawn?
No, of course not. But she knew better than anyone not to surrender to the inevitable. She would not abandon her friend or her path, even though the battle was over. The world would always need Tarsus. And Tarsus would always need legionnaires. She followed Arden Vasa to Anthem for a time, and left the records with trusted lancers, to be maintained and passed down, generation after generation.
To you? This is your story.
Our story. The Legion lives on through us.
What happened to Leotrel?
Once her preparations were complete, her plans in motion, she left Anthem and vanished. Like the beginning. The end of her story is a mystery. But it's not beginnings or endings that matter. It's the path you follow between them.